Well, they found out that by 2016, they weren't getting any net assessments. And they asked this guy, Jim Baker, why aren't you producing any sort of net assessments for us whatsoever? Because they failed to produce any net assessments since 2007. So what he ended up doing, essentially, was he ended up changing his job by essentially rewriting his job, and that's essentially at the heart of this. Now, as far as he is concerned, we've already found out, as far as Jim Baker is concerned, is that he has been accused by Sidney Powell for being one of the leakers to the Flynn case, because apparently he's in some trouble right now because people are wondering whether or not he was the one behind the Flynn Kislyak call leak to David Ignatius. So he's in some trouble right now.
Let me go to John Solomon at justthenews.com. John, I mean, that's another big part of it. Now that we can stand back and now that we have the Inspector General's report, you really did a great piece on what Barr is saying, the things that he's indicating are coming, and your sources and Greg's sources and my sources say that it's significant, it's real. Grand juries, we expect to be impaneled now with the COVID passing, especially in some areas. And on top of that, there's going to be real accountability here. That's what all my sources are now pointing towards.
Yeah, there's no doubt. This investigation is very advanced. It's looking at 4 or 5 areas. The most obvious one is the one that you and I have been talking about since 2017 with Greg and Kerry and others, and that's that they deceived the FISA court. Was there an intentional, willful, illegal attempt to deceive the FISA court? That case is coming into clear focus. The second is, did they wrongly pursue General Flynn after the evidence said he should have been exonerated? And now we know that Barack Obama and Joe Biden were involved in that process. In fact, they step into the process at the very moment the FBI career agents are decided that Mike Flynn's done nothing wrong and they should close down the case. And that's when Barack Obama and Joe Biden suddenly show up meeting with the FBI in a meeting that should never have occurred under the FBI rules. They're looking at the origins of the case. And Attorney General Barr said something very profound this past week when he was on Maria Bartiromo, and that is, we're looking to see what happened before the FBI had a very its formal opening of the investigation, July 31st, 2016. And he said, I want to say it's important that Christopher Steele's work began before July. He's putting a big hint that some of those activities in January to July might have something to do with the Halpers and the Steeles starting to agitate before the FBI even had a formal investigation. Those are going to be the 3 primary areas that they're going to be looking at.
You know, and Greg, let's build on that. What do you see and who do you identify based on what John's describing here?
Well, I would be looking at James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, John Brennan, James Clapper, all of these people who were involved. And, I wrote a column in April that said, when this Flynn case is dismissed, he should sue the very people in government that persecuted him under the pretext of legitimate prosecution. So, you really have 2 avenues here. You have the Durham criminal investigation, I think, will result in charges. But then Flynn should also sue. People think that government officials have absolute immunity. They don't. There's the Tort Claims Act, there's Supreme Court decisions, and he is going to be a multimillionaire before all of this is over. And, people like Comey, McCabe, Strzok, and others, they better hire some pretty good defense attorneys, both civil and criminal, because they're going to need them.
Well, I hate to tell you this, Greg. My sources have been telling me they're all lawyered up with all notable law firms in Washington, D.C.
I heard that too.
When it becomes known, it's going to be a who's who of Washington, D.C. law firms. And, at the end of the day, I mean, look at what happened to Papadopoulos. How is it possible that in 4 days from now, Roger Stone, who had a jury foreperson that was biased against him, this is way before she ever got on the jury. I thought we had fair and impartial juries as a right in this country, apparently not. because she had such a hatred and bias towards all things Roger specifically, all things Trump specifically, and then the judge just dismisses any idea that you could have a retrial, which any fair-minded judge would demand immediately, and the person that didn't fill out the questionnaire properly would be asked. Then you've got, Paul Manafort's case was dead, gone, and buried. We know that the Flynn case was supposed to be closed until Peter Strzok and the 7th floor, James Comey and company, opened it up, leading up to that White House meeting, leading up to Joe Biden saying the Logan Act, and Obama saying, make sure we get the right people, our people on this. Sounds to me like, the people that will do our bidding on this. When are we going to find out what they knew and when they knew it? We'll start with Terry.
Well, here's what's interesting, is that as far as Jim Baker's connection to Flynn, because Jim Baker more than likely didn't want Flynn to ever find out the fact that DONA wasn't really doing anything, which was supposed to be producing net assessments. Flynn ended up appointing a man by the name of Adam Lovinger over to essentially make sure that net assessments were going to be done. He appointed Lovinger over at the National Security Council to help fill the void. And so when Lovinger went over to do his job, then Flynn ended up getting fired during that time period. And then Baker found a chance to then strip Lovinger of his security clearance, and then also suspended Lovinger's detail, and at that point basically left Lovinger out to dry. So, but during that time period, right before that happened, Lovinger became a whistleblower, and he called out the whole issue of Stefan Halper. He said all these contracts are being given to politically connected, contractors such as Stefan Halper. Said all of these people are having their pockets padded.
You got the floodgates open. This is not even now anything we need to do a hell of a lot more digging on, because based on the evidence that we've all put together, all of us, there's enough to indict and convict beyond, the standard, of course, beyond reasonable doubt. I mean, we will get there. It's a matter of when and how. All signs point towards the summer. Well, it's almost the summer. I guess now we can say officially it's summer. Now that it's summer, let's get this thing rolling. All right, stay right there. More Kerry, John, and Greg on the other side. Your calls in the next half hour. All right, so for those of you, you're on edge all day, you're sleeping poorly at night. Maybe that's a new normal for way too many of us.